So, tonight on Another Thing About Tartan, I am so pleased to welcome Jojo Fraser virtually from right here in Edinburgh. Jojo is an author and podcaster focusing on mental health and wellness. Jojo is here to tell us more about her career within writing and podcasting, her Scottish heritage, and her connection to Clan Fraser. So, Jojo, thank you so much for joining us tonight. So, to start us off, you currently reside in Edinburgh, but were you born and bred in the capital?
Sure was, yeah. I was born on the east side of Edinburgh, and my mum sang through the night waiting for my dad because they were trying to get a babysitter for my two older brothers. And then he arrived, and I came out pretty much there and then, I think. So yeah, Edinburgh. I've travelled a lot, but Edinburgh certainly feels like home to me.
It's always where you end up coming back to.
Yeah, yeah.
And what do you love most about Edinburgh? What do you think makes it so special?
I mean, the size of it is a lovely size because you do have that city vibe, but at the same time, it's just real. It's not too big. You can do a lot in a day. You can get around the whole city in a day if you wanted to. Um,
Mhm.
the history, the castle, just the feeling of walking down the Royal Mile, but you're not too far from the coast. Um, yeah, I just think it's a stunning, stunning city, and I'm really proud to call it home.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite area in the city then?
I wouldn't say I've got one set favorite area. I've got areas with great memories, like Arthur's Seat is right next to where I was sort of brought up,
Mhm.
and I did my first big running event around Arthur's Seat. So there's nice memories there. But yeah, lots of the sort of green areas, the meadows up in the Grange. I used to live there in a flat. So yeah, I just think it's stunning, really. The botanic gardens are absolutely gorgeous if you want to go for a big walk.
Yeah.
And the cycle paths are amazing too for running, walking, cycling. So yeah, I love the whole city.
Definitely the outdoor feel of it then.
Yeah, I mean, I love getting cozy too. And like there's places where you get the kind of cozy vibes. Like I got married in Prestonfield Hotel.
Oh,
So it's really like cozy boutique hotel with a view of Arthur's Seat. So there's places that I really enjoy going as well. And I'm quite a sap, I'm quite gushy. So normally it's tied down to like good memories.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, definitely. And so you've been writing your own blog since 2014. And what was it that inspired you to start writing? And was this the catalyst to you going on to write your own book?
Yeah, I've written all my life in notepads when I was a kid, and I can see my little girl doing it now. It's something she's naturally drawn towards. So I
Yeah.
think it was just something I was naturally drawn towards. Like I've always journaled, I've always written.
Mhm.
And it's like, if you speak to the best coaches, they will tell you that journaling is so good for your mind.
Mhm.
So I guess I was ahead of the trend. I just naturally knew it was good for me. It
Yeah.
wasn't like someone told me to do it. I just felt the urge to get my feelings on paper. And then when I started sharing openly on the blog, I had such great feedback that
Mhm.
people just said to me, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book." And I thought, well, why not? And there was a lot of negativity there too. You hear all the voices of fear, and that's impossible, and you can't do that, and it's so hard to get published, and all this stuff. And
Mhm.
you need to really drown that out, because if you love writing and you have ideas, and because I was running a lot of the time, because I was running for a marathon, training for a marathon, I had a lot of time to really think about ideas. So
Mhm.
when I was training for the marathon, all the book ideas just came to me naturally.
Yeah.
Edinburgh's such a gorgeous city to run around. It is really inspiring because the scenery is so nice. So I'll
Yeah.
thank Edinburgh for that too.
Yeah, I can imagine like that running would be a really good place to come up with all of your ideas for the book.
Yeah, and Edinburgh's just gorgeous too. And I actually made sure that I integrated parts of Edinburgh in the stories. So I name drop a lot of places and stuff. So that's quite nice.
Yeah, so Edinburgh's quite it's quite important to the book then as well.
Well, it's just nice. It's nice, I guess, if you're reading it and you're from Edinburgh or you're living away and you know of Edinburgh, it might be quite nice to have those connections there.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff in there, but yeah.
Mhm. And you released your book, Mummy Jojo Uncut, back in 2018, which focuses on mental health and finding your happiness. So, what drove you to introduce your writing to paperback? So, obviously, you said that people were telling you to write a book, but was there anything else that made
Yeah,
you want to get your feelings out into a book?
yeah, I just think it's so important to be honest and to be real about mental health and about the struggles we all can face because we all have a mind, right? So no one is immune to mental health. We all have feelings of anxiety from time to time. We have low vibrational feelings, depression, anxiety, and we can all have happiness, and that varies throughout life, right? No one's happy all the time. But for me, what helps me to be happier is just by being real. And I realized that that wasn't, I was seen as quite weird for being honest. People were like, you're hilariously honest. I can't believe how honest you are. But for me, it just came naturally. So I
Uh-huh.
figured we need more books like that. And because it was a non-fiction piece with the desire to smash the stigma of mental health, that was the intention behind it. Every chapter really challenges the reader in a way that's sometimes entertaining and funny and jokey, and sometimes hard-hitting and like, whoa, people have cried and cried reading certain chapters. So
Yeah.
it takes you on a wave of emotions. You'll laugh and you'll cry, is what people say.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And the book launch must have been a really exciting moment for you. And so, has that been a lifelong dream for you to write a book?
Yeah, do you know the book launch was incredible? Borthwick Castle sponsored it at the most gorgeous venue. My brother played piano. My daughter, who was 6 at the time, she just turned 6, sang A Million Dreams to the whole castle. I kind of sang a bit with her, and then the castle joined in, all our guests joined in, and it was just such one of the best days of my life. And I just think what an example for our kids, because I want them to grow up knowing that they can follow their dreams and stuff. And
Mhm.
it wasn't easy. I had to really, as I said earlier, I really had to drown out the negative voices from myself and from others who, it's just fear. And it's just, as I say, we all experience these emotions, but when you can kind of get past that and do what you really want, that's kind of what I want my kids to do, and I want to teach other kids to do. So yeah, it was definitely one of the prouder days. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can imagine that would have been really amazing, especially in that environment as well.
Yeah, it was a special day. Really thankful for it. So
And can you give our customers a quick snapshot of what they can expect to read within the book?
So yeah, I mean, funny stories and quite moving stories about life, about people. It's a non-fiction, so I share an awful lot. I share about what it feels like to have a family member get in extreme depression, how you can grieve for a person when they're on the earth because maybe they're not mentally on the earth, they're not well. I talk about, there's a lot of motivational chapters. I talk about iPhone addiction. I talk about sex. I talk about marriage and the struggles with that. I talk about raising kids. I talk about following your dreams, looking after anxiety, not blaming yourself. I talk about acceptance, compassion. Like, we go on a journey, and it's not a super long book. Like, people say it's quite an easy short read, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's how many chapters? 14 chapters, but they're not massive long chapters, but they're all quite challenging. And then at the end of each chapter, there's a toolkit, and it gives the reader like tips and professional advice. And I have some people come into the book as well, some experts, and give their advice in
Mhm.
some of the toolkits too. So it's a real mix.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds good though.
Thank you.
Very helpful. So you also launched your podcast, Time for a Mojo Injection, in 2018 as well, which follows on from the themes of the book perfectly. Can you tell our listeners some of the topics that you cover in your podcast episodes?
Goodness, so much. We talk about anxiety. We talk about how to quieten down the mind, how to show compassion. We talk about relationships. We talk about people that have been through trauma, all sorts of trauma, from losing babies, from, extreme depression, from grief. There's absolutely no topic that's off limits. I have a lot of experts coming in talking about, so it's almost like free therapy for people, sometimes with a bit of comedy and music and singing mixed in. So yeah, it's all about releasing the mojo and being kind to yourself and not being afraid to share some of the topics. Had someone on recently talking about their journey with bulimia and how they got through that and how they feel so free now. So although some of the topics are quite hard, we always end on a high. And we always end with hope for people and lots of tips for people too. So, I mean, episode 110 is the last one that went out, and that was about, your sensuality and using fragrance and different things to bring that out. So it's really, really varied, and I love it. It's part of my research as well, because when you interview that many people, you really, really learn, like, key trends come up, key patterns come up about our behavior and our thinking and what's really good for us and what's not good and what's damaging. So it's really interesting. Yeah. I love doing it.
Yeah, so like each episode focuses on a different topic just within each episode. Is that right?
Every episode's just a different topic, and it's always trying to help people get their mojo back, or to give them positive vibes, or just to smash the stigma of any kind of mental health.
Yeah. And has it been hard to continue the podcast throughout the pandemic? Have you found that quite challenging?
Not really, because we just do it on Zoom now. A lot of people would come to my home, to my recording area and do it, but now we just do it on Zoom, and it works. We have great conversations. So you just have to roll with the times and take it a month at a time, and just go with it.
Yeah, definitely. That's good that you've not let it stop you from still getting out episodes regularly.
Yeah, I think we need it more than ever. We need as many resources now for mental health, free resources for people. So it's been great to be able to still offer that.
Yeah, I completely agree. So who has been your most interesting guest on the podcast then?
Do you know, it would be too hard to pick one, because I have had some fascinating, I've had amazing best-selling authors, amazing coaches, comedians. I've had people with millions of followers. I've had people with hardly any followers, but everyone's got something amazing to say. So I think it would be really unfair to pick one. I know it's a cop-out, but I feel too bad, because every episode I've done has taught me so much. And there's lines that I've got that are like, wow, 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 that'll stick with me.
And has life changed for you since launching your book and podcast? And do you have any standout moments since the launch of both of these?
I think the biggest thing is that I'm approachable to people, and I noticed that a lot of the surface level chat, isn't there. Like, people just start sharing things with me, and I bang into someone in a supermarket, or I was saying this in a TED talk I did last month, a remote TED talk, my first one, and I was saying that something lifted when I made all this noise that it doesn't faze me, the stigma, you can tell me whatever you want. Like, people are like, great, there's someone I can actually talk to. So I've had some amazing conversations with friends and family and people that I haven't known that well, that have just felt that, well, they feel they know me, I guess, because I've put my whole life on paper and stuff.
Yeah.
So not my whole life, obviously. I need to protect people, so I'm not going to share everything, but I share things that I'm comfortable with sharing. And yeah, I think people, a lot of time I'll meet people and they will actually feel like they know me, and I'm a bit like, it takes a bit of getting used to. So that was a big thing. And then just opportunities. There was like radio opportunities, TV opportunities, bits and pieces that came with it. I think when you put a book out in a podcast, it's seen as quite an interesting thing. So I guess press pick it up too. But yeah, just, you know, that's probably the main stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah.
No, it sounds really amazing. So moving on slightly, you're of course a member of Clan Fraser, who are our clan of the month for January. So can you tell us a bit about your heritage? Are you connected to the clan through your marriage or is it through birth?
Yeah, so through marriage. So my maiden name is actually Wintour. You know,
Oh,
Anna Wintour, from the inspiration behind The Devil Wears Prada.
yeah.
So I've got a famous name, known for fashion. So the Wintour has French association. It comes from French history, and I realised that so does Fraser actually. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think one of the meanings is a French place, and also it came originally from France. So that was interesting because I didn't know that. But I always liked the name Fraser growing up. So I was delighted. That was my, if you're going to get a name, you're like, hope I like it, but you can't
Yeah.
really choose who you fall in love with, right? So um, I just love the name Fraser. And I love the kind of Scottish feel of it because Wintour, it was always like, how do you spell that? Is it winter? Is it winter? I'm like, no, Wintour.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Whereas Fraser, they will say is it an S or a Z, and I'm like it's an S. But am I right in thinking the Z is a Z? Is that more American? I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure. I know that the clan spell it, like the official clan spell it with an S.
Yeah,
So if it was spelled with a Z, that would maybe be a sept of the clan.
yeah. Because I've heard on an American show they were like Frasier, Frasier, and we were like it's not Frasier, it's Fraser.
Yeah, it's maybe just the way that they pronounce that name. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Frasier. It's
yeah,
quite cute. It's quite cute. But yeah, I just really like the name Fraser. I don't know heaps and heaps of the history because I guess we got married and then had two kids. So in terms of like reading and sort of researching, I've been had my hands quite full with the two kids and then the podcast and the book. So
yeah.
I should probably know more about it and I'd like to know more about it, but I know some stuff.
Hmm. No, that sounds good. And so, did you celebrate your Scottish roots and Scottish culture when you were younger? And if so, how?
Well, I mean, Burns Day, I love haggis and stuff, so we would always celebrate Burns Day. I love like some of the Scottish music, like Old Lang Syne. I sing that every year. Normally put it on my channels. My brother plays guitar or piano, and I do that. If the 31st, I put that song out on Instagram, Facebook. Sometimes Mummy Jojo, my blog.
Yeah.
Um, I love Scottish music. I sang at my brother's wedding. The My love is like a red, red rose, and I sang it in the traditional way. So I guess through music and food, I celebrate, being Scottish. I love like Scottish seafood, and I love like nature and showing off Scotland on like my channels. So if I go like wild swimming in the cold water, I love to show off that and put, Scottish wild swimming. And a lot of people search that and stuff. So I love showing off parts of Scotland too.
Yeah.
I love Scotland. It's stunning. It can be a bit cold at times, but I love all the seasons. I love winter, autumn, spring, and summer, and I think we appreciate the sun more as well. So, yeah,
No, Scotland is so beautiful. The scenery, especially, is so stunning.
yeah.
Definitely, I have to agree with you there. And so moving on to tartans, there are so many Fraser tartans. There's actually 14 different variations.
Wow.
So do you have a favorite Fraser tartan, or do you tend to stray to other tartans?
Do you know that it was I don't know if it's the traditional one, but the bright red and the green and the blue, that
Uh-huh.
was kind of what my father-in-law and my husband were kind of that was their sort of go-to tartan. So
Yeah.
when we got married, my dad got that tartan too, and he wore it. My father-in-law wore it husband, the best, and the bridal party wore it.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, because they were just always showing me the bright red, I didn't realize that there were other Fraser tartans, which is really bad, but I'll blame my husband for that. It's his name. So I really just know the red one. I would love to see more of the others though.
Mm-hmm. No, I do feel like people tend to pick their favourite and then they just stick with that because they like to stick with what they know. So that's probably what they've done. So
Yeah.
does the winter name not have a tartan? Do you know?
No, we checked and there's not a winter tartan. No, because my brothers are both married and they looked into it. And I think they went with Anderson in the end because that's my mum's maiden name. Oh no, my mum's maiden name is Arnott, but then uh, Anderson as well further down was my, I think it must have been my gran was an Anderson.
Yeah.
And then she took on Arnott. So I think they looked at that. And my dad's middle name's Campbell. So that's a tartan, like a green and blue tartan. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It is cool to see the names down the family to find your tartan, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really nice. It's
Mm-hmm.
lovely. There's so many options, if you've got middle names and other things as well. So
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think about tartan and what it means to Scotland, and how do you think it represents how people see us in Scotland?
yeah, there's obviously the stereotypes, but if you were to break it down, like tartan is a really special thing. Like we're the only country that, we're known for wearing skirts and stuff, and people have a bit of a joke about it, but it's actually a really sort of sacred thing, isn't it? That you've got your design. I think there's probably a lot of countries that are quite jealous of that, from speaking to others. It's a really special part of our tradition. So I always feel disappointed when, Scottish guys don't really they just want to wear like a cool suit or something. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, wear the cool suit, but if you've got a tartan name, at least maybe get a nice tie made of it, or you don't have to ditch it completely, but it's up to everyone else what they do. But for me personally, I think it's really, really special. I think it's someone we should honor. I think it's someone we should be thankful for. And it's cool. Like I got my first pair of tartan trousers when I was a teenager. I think I was 13 years old. I was saying this on the podcast the other day, actually. I had this satin shirt because they were so in at the time, and tartan trousers. I had these red tartan trousers and I loved them. Oh, I felt so cool in them. And I think they've come back because I've seen some like people wearing tartan trousers. They seem to be really in again at the moment. So the trends seem to come. So I'd quite like to get another pair. But I think it's really funky. I really like it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It does definitely tend to have its time when it's in fashion, like when it's a trend, and it's
Yeah.
always coming back around. So even if you buy something tartan, it'll come back into fashion again.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't, even though my name's Wintour, my maiden name, I've never been one to sort of follow the fashion trends. Like it doesn't have to be totally like in trend at that time. If I like it, I like it. So that's kind of, yeah, just sort of do my own thing really. If something comes up and it's in trend, great, and I like it. But if it's not in trend anymore, I'm still going to wear it.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way it should be. Well, thank you so much for speaking to me today, Jojo. It's been really interesting to hear all about your career and your heritage and everything. I've really enjoyed it. And I hope you have a safe 2021. And I can't wait to see what you get up to.
Thank you so much. Lovely to chat to you.
Thank you.